Hammond City Council meeting is now called to order. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation given by Councilman Higgs? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Also keep in your prayers the family of the Bassetts. Some guys I grew up with, Earl and Carl, their father passed away, so they're shipping the body from Minnesota. He's going to be funeralized at Mount Zion Church at 11 o'clock a.m. on Friday. And also one other, Miss Ruth, Gerard Gamble's mother, also passed away, who stays on Sherman Street, who I've been knowing all my life, so keep them in your prayers. Heavenly Father, we come before you just saying thank you, Lord, for another day. We ask that you guide us and direct us, Lord, so we can do what's necessary to make our city a better place for all of us. We ask that you touch each individual here and make us move in the direction that you see fit, Lord, so that we can do what's best for you. We ask for all these blessings in your Son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Can you make that motion to suspend the rules?
Mr. President.
Councilman Hinojosa.
Motion to suspend the rules to make a presentation. Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Hinojosa, second by Councilman Opinka, that we suspend the rules. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. I have a presentation for Councilwoman Poland, who I had the pleasure of working with over the last 4 years, who did a superb job in representing the 4th District of this great city. And that also a number of things that came up in my district and her district, and we worked together, like, for instance, the overlay on 165th. No problems. We got it done this year. Just a number of issues that we discussed and worked together. And even though we were on opposite sides in parties, we were still able to come to a happy medium on a number of issues. We didn't always agree, but we did get things done together. And so for that, I say thank you so much. The plaque says, wow, I didn't know I was going to have to read a plaque. With reserve, we, the Hammond City Council, honor the 4th District Councilwoman, Kimberly Poland, for her hard work, dedication, and commitment to the city of Hammond, Indiana, and the residents, and for striving to make Hammond a better place to live. January 1, 2008 to December 31st, 2011. Thank you so much. Now can I have a motion to go back to the regular order of business?
Mr. President.
Councilman Hinojosa.
Motion to go back into the regular order of business.
Second. It's been motioned by Councilman Hinojosa, second by Councilman Opinka, that we go back into the regular order of business. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Number 2 on the agenda is roll call vote.
Markovich. Here. Spitali.
Here.
Venecz.
Here.
Galwinski.
Here.
Salinas. Poland.
Here.
Opinker.
Here.
Hinojosa.
Here.
Higgs.
Here, motion, let the record reflect 8 present and 1 is absent. Here but absent off the floor. Excuse me. Next is approval of claims. Reading of the minutes. I'm sorry, reading of the minutes.
Mr. President,
Councilman O'Pinker.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from 11/14/2011.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman O'Pinker, second by Councilwoman Poland, that we accept the minutes. Excuse me. From last meeting. Is there any discussion to the minutes? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Next on the agenda is number 4, approval of claims. Approval of claims.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
move for approval of claims for November 9th through December 7th, 2011, for council meeting December 12th, 2011. Beginning with claims dated November 15th and ending with claims dated December 7th, claim numbers 5733 through claim numbers 6192. I so move.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Markovich, second by Councilwoman Poland, that we accept claims dated November 9th, 2011 through the December 7th, 2011 for council meetings scheduled December 12th, 2011, starting with claim 5733 and ending in claim 6192 with the correction of claim 6022 as inspections. Am I correct, Clerk Golec?
That is correct.
Is there any discussion to the claims?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman,
I'd like to add one claim, 6193. Hammond FOP Food Baskets, $100 donation from promotional account, Councilman Salinas. I so move.
Second.
it's been a motion by Councilman Markovich, second by Councilwoman Poland, that we amend in claim number, what's the claim number?
6193.
6193 for the amount of
$100.
$100. Is there any discussion on the amendment? 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 Roll call vote on the amendment.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Venecz.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
O'Pinker.
Yes.
Hinosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passes, 9 in favor and 0 are absent. Now claims as read, claims as read. Roll call vote on claims as read.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Venecz.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
O'Pinker.
Yes.
Hinosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passes, 9 in favor, 0 are absent. Next on the agenda is number 5, a public hearing. Clerk Golec, can you read that for me?
Ordinance number 11-46, sponsored by Councilman Salinas. An ordinance appropriating the proceeds of the annual action plan and dealing with other matters pertaining to the expenditure of plan proceeds for program year 212.
Anyone wishing to speak to this item and this item alone may do so by approaching the podium and speaking to this item and this item alone. The public hearing is now open. The public hearing is now open. The public hearing is now open. The public hearing is now closed. Number 6 is communications. Any communications? I did receive one from the Indiana Department of Transportation that says LaPorte District like to share funds and facts about NDOT. We hope you enjoy reading them and learn at least one thing in the facts. In 1919, the Indiana State Highway Commission, ISHC, was established, created by the Indiana General Assembly to connect county seats in various towns and cities. The ISHC involved into the Indiana Department of Highways, IDOH, and the IDOH became the Indiana Department of Transportation, NDOT, in 1989. Number two, the first interstate built in Indiana was the first section of the State Road 420, which later became I-80-94, the Northern Indiana opening in 1952. Number three, Congress created the Highway Trust Fund in 1956 as creating a source of funding to support the national system of interstate and defense highways. NDOT received funding from several resources, with the primary source bringing motor fuel taxes, currently 18 cents per gallon of gasoline to 16 cents of diesel fuel, to go forward to state roadways. Number four, we have planted 181 acres of wildflowers on the highways and interchanges. We hope you have had a chance to notice them during the daily travels. Number five, did you know that we have 840 traffic signals and flashers in the 13 counties that are in LaPorte District maintains? The 13 counties are Carroll, Cass, Felton, Jasper, Lake, LaPorte, Marshall, Newton, Porter, Pulaski, St. Joseph, Stark, and White. Number six is 5,000 center line miles of LaPorte District maintains, in the same as it would drive for Los Angeles, California, then visit Las Vegas and back to Indiana, or still have a few miles left. Number seven, since NDOT started using propane statewide in the last 4 months, we have saved $250,000 in fuel costs. It costs $1.27 after rebate per gallon to use propane instead of gasoline in our trucks. Number eight, Indiana entered the Union as the 19th state on December 11, 1816. Became the state flower in 1957, the tulip tree and the state tree in 1931, and the cardinal state bird in 1933. Wow. And that was all given by Jim Perkerton on behalf of the staff of the LaPorte District NDOT. Any other communications? There is a contest. There's a contest in the 3rd District. Again, this year, Councilman Higgs is sponsoring a contest for the best decorated house, and there will be 3 gift certificates given away and plaques for the first and second prize winners in my district. However, those individuals have won in the past will not be eligible to win this year. We will be, me and Frank Mervan, the North Township trustee, as well as Mr. Delo from WJLB, will be taking travels throughout my district and identifying those individuals who will be recipients of the winners for the contest this year. And the contest goes from December 1st through December 25th. Any other communications? Any other communications?
Mr. President.
Councilwoman Venecz.
Yes, I received a letter from the Eastside Community Council, who is having a toy giveaway this Friday, December 16th at Hammond High School. Tis the season of giving, therefore give from your heart. The ESCC is sponsoring a Christmas toy giveaway for the children in the city of Hammond. This is the entire city of Hammond. They'll be collecting toys up until December 14th. To be distributed December 16th at Hammond High at 6 p.m. They're asking to donate new unwrapped toys for children up to age 17 at any of the drop-off locations, which is Hammond High during the regular school hours, Department of Planning and Development between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m., and the Hammond Civic Center between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Leroy Howard is very active with the Eastside Community Council, and he does a great job in getting out with in the community to help the kids be kids. So please come out December 16th this Friday, and if you have any toys that you'd like to donate, please do so. Thank you.
Thank you for that point of information. Any other communications?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Poland.
the South Hammond Crime Watch meeting has been canceled for the month of December. More information will be forthcoming on this very important meeting regarding the street closures. So if you do live in the vicinity around there, I believe you will be getting some mail shortly. And just hold tight, and we will get the situation resolved to everyone's benefit, I'm sure. But just so it's out there, it was in the paper earlier in the week, or I'm sorry, last week. But again, no Crime Watch meeting, South Hammond Crime Watch meeting for December 15th.
Thank you for that point of information, Councilwoman Poland. Any other communications? Any other communications? Communications is now closed. Number 8 on the agenda. Number 7 on the agenda is committee reports. Committee reports.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski.
Council as a whole bring out 1147.
Council as a whole, 1147. Any other committee reports?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
what is 1147?
1147 is the resolution, I think.
No.
No?
1147 is the one we talked about in caucus about cleaning up at the
Oh,
end of the year.
Controllers,
Spoke to that.
controllers ordinance to clean up the end of the year, the transfers. Thank you, Councilman Kowinski. Any other committee reports?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Salinas,
I'll be bringing out 1148
1148. Council's bringing 1148
and the 1146.
and 1146. Are there any other committee reports? Are there any other committee reports? Are there any other committee reports? Committee reports is now closed. Next on the agenda is ordinances on third reading and final passage.
Ordinance number 11-46, sponsored by Councilman Salinas. An ordinance appropriating the proceeds of the annual action plan and dealing with other matters pertaining to the expenditure of planned proceeds for program year 2012.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Salinas.
I move for final of 11-46.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Salinas, second by Councilman Pinker, that we pass on this third and final reading ordinance 11-46. Is there any discussion? Have to excuse me, I'm trying to catch a little cold here. 11-46, is any discussion on 11-46?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
in caucus, we had discussion when we were trying to find $20,000 to fund Indiana Legal Services, and figures were brought out that how much it costs as far as per unit hour. For the Hammond Legal Aid Services, it's roughly $1,000 per hour or per unit, whereas in the Indiana Legal Services, let's just say that it comes out to maybe $25 or $30 per unit or hour. I talked to Councilman Salinas earlier about it, and I know that Luana brought up that in order to make transfers, we can only do it with social services. So at this time, I would like to have Luana come up and see if she can make some recommendations where we can transfer some money here and get $5,000 or to $20,000 to fund the Indiana Legal Services. How many pages do you have there? You have to ask her about it then.
Yes.
Council President, when the ordinance was given to the city clerk, I only have 3 pages, and within the ordinance it says there is an attached Exhibit A incorporated and made part of. The clerk does not have that in his possession.
Okay. I would request that we have the exhibits be attached to the document 11-46 as it relates to the action plan for 2012 budget.
It was a part of it.
It was what?
It's a part of it.
She's gonna get it for you. Please bear with Awana. She's getting on up there.
Supposed to be Appendix A.
He needs a copy of it. That's the whole book of the action plan. So that we are all on the same page. You guys know where we at, right?
Ordinances act on, I mean,
Dealing with the action
language to do that, I
plan,
have to have
the
it.
budget. It's like, it's this one, right?
Just one page?
I don't know where you're gonna find it, but I think I have this for you.
I got two of them. You want mine? All right. Right, you need the complete ordinance. So do you have the complete ordinance? We can't pass unless you have the,
She has it here. I either need Appendix A from her or...
just one page. I would assume Councilman Kowinski is making the exhibit copies for the clerk and for my colleagues, but do you guys have this? You don't have one, Councilman? Councilwoman Venecz, do you have a copy of it?
No, not with me.
Okay, do you have a copy of it, Councilwoman Poland?
This thing here? This one here?
Yeah. You're gonna need the back page, and that's gonna give you all the programs for the 2012 year.
Mr. Chairman?
All I ask you is whether or not you have it. That's a yes or no question.
Mr. Chairman,
Do you have it?
the back page that you're referring to is only the salaries.
You're correct. The
That's
back
the
page
salary.
that he has is,
I don't know what it is yet. I just have the first two pages of the ordinance for it, and it refers to
No.
Exhibit A. Whatever Exhibit A
you
is.
got this page, Bob? Look in the book. It's right here. Exhibit A. Exhibit A identifies the program, what was requested, and the total.
That's Exhibit A, yes, I have that.
Thank you. Councilman O'Pinker, do you have Exhibit A? Councilman Salinas, do you have Exhibit A?
Yes.
Councilman
I don't have it with me.
Vitale,
Thank you.
he's gonna give you a copy.
Mr. Chairman? Oh, okay. They're making copies?
Yes. Making copies so everybody has a copy of what they need to have. Next year, I won't be up here so you guys can figure it out.
I think he should. He doesn't have it,
I need a little break to do some things with the family and take Awana out for dinner. You got it now? Are all minds and hearts clear? We have the exhibit now. We have Exhibit A. Exhibit A is being recorded. Awana, you have the floor.
All due respect to Councilman Markovich, but at this time, I would ask the city council to pass the budget as is, which is Exhibit A. I don't have any recommendations to change anything around.
Okay, you don't have any recommendations, but can you tell us what social services, that if we did want to make some changes, which ones can we do that to then, please?
Child care voucher program,
I'm sorry?
the child care voucher program.
Okay, now I'm looking at this sheet, but you're looking at Exhibit A then, huh?
Right.
Okay. Because like I brought up in the,
It's the same thing, Councilman.
yeah, I know, but like
Make-
I brought up in the caucus, there,
Make it easier for you?
well, no, but, requests money was given to places that they didn't even, according to their worksheet, didn't even request the money, so they,
I don't know how it could possibly take place if an organization within our city submitted an application, whether accepted or denied, they would have to accept it and record the information. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So are you looking for a particular organization at this particular time?
I just want her to tell us that if we wanted to fund the Hammond or the Indiana Legal Services, tell me what organizations we can take that money out of that would qualify for that?
Under social service agencies, you have Greater Hammond Community Services, you have Hammond Legal Aid, Parents as Teachers, We Care from the Heart, Carmelite Home, as well as the Child Care Voucher Program and the Youth Sports Recreation Program.
My question would be now, hold on, Councilman Markovich, the only question I have is the child care program assistance. How much of that money have you used thus far for this program year? I understand sometimes you get the money a little later and whatnot, but how much have you used thus far?
For this year,
Yes,
we've used approximately 15.
15. That answers one of my questions, okay. Councilman Markovich, you have other questions?
I just, what would be her recommendation as far as finding $20,000 for the Indiana Legal Services?
Councilman Markovich, I'm gonna answer that for her because, you know why I'm gonna answer that? Because we just went over that, and she's not gonna do that because
Oh, I'm sorry.
she's been instructed not to, so you're only beating a dead horse, okay? So let's move on and do what we need to do. If we're gonna allocate some money for a particular organization, let's move forward.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilman Markovich.
All I would comment in that respect is that she has the pulse on all of these organizations. She knows who really truly needs the money. She really knows who can afford to give up $5,000 so we can fund another social service program. That's why I'm asking her to do that. You know, I mean, it would be unfair to her and the redevelopment commission for us to arbitrate, well, we're cutting this one, we're cutting this one, this one. There may be reasons why that they need that money, but, you know, like the youth services recreation program, $100,000. I mean, you know, I'm sure that if we cut $20,000 from there, that money would be well worth it to go to the Indiana Legal Aid Services, because I'm sure that most of those kids and those families would require legal services in the future, if not already having it. Like I stated in the caucus, you know, it's a matter of unit, and it's based on an hourly basis. But I wouldn't want to overstep their bounds because they put all this time and effort in here to go ahead and check all of these programs out. And it would be up to them that they have the pulse on it to go ahead and be able to make those cuts so nobody would suffer. And that's why I'm yielding to her to make those cuts. And that would be the best way to do it.
But I mean, you playing the devil's advocate right now, because you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you, and honesty is the best policy, and that's the way I live my life. The reality of it is, she's presented the budget, the mayor's reviewed the budget, and she's, with the intentions of presenting the budget to the council, their thoughts are, this is what we want. Okay, so she's not gonna get in front of you and say, cut this or that. You, as a councilman, gonna have to make that decision.
Mr. President?
And we're going to be beating the horse all night long, playing games, and it's not necessary. Let's be real. Let's handle the business and do what we need to do and be done with it.
Mr. Chairman?
If it's a particular organization you want to fund it. Yes,
I-
Councilwoman Polish. Right after her, you can speak.
Okay, how about knock off Adopt-A-Lot, 20,000 off of that, there's $50,000 there.
Excuse me, when it
30,000.
When it comes down to, if you're looking at Exhibit A, when it comes down to housing and neighborhood services, even if you took away Adopt-A-Lot program, we still could not fund any social service agencies.
So what she's saying is, and so all my colleagues can work with me here, and I'm not doing all the work here tonight, is that the social agencies have to be the ones that the cuts have to come from, okay? So let's work together here and get this done. Now, there are a number of social agencies we can take from. For instance, We Care from the Hearts. One. Another social agency, Carmelite Home. Two.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilman Markovich.
Owana, in your guidance for us to make some changes, do you think we're better off taking like 5 or 10 from like 3 or 4 different groups, or just take the full 20 from one group? What would be your recommendation?
At this point, I could not make that recommendation because we've already cut our social service agencies, because our total budget has been cut, and we can only use 20% of our total budget for those social service agencies. So as I stated earlier, I would like the council to pass the budget as it is.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
this
Councilman
book that you gave us, then, these are all the applications of people that did it, and they all
Yes,
were gone over and scrutinized, and, you know, they followed all the rules and regulations to make the applications for all. Is that correct?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Poland.
I'd like to make a motion to reduce Adopt-A-Lot to 30,000.
It's been a motion placed on the floor to take what was Adopt-A-Lot from $50,000 to $30,000. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Markovich, second by Councilman It's been motioned by Councilwoman Poland, second by Councilman Markovich, that we take from Adopt-A-Lot, which was originally $50,000, and make it 30.
Mr. Chairman.
Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Markovich.
Owana, just so we're not doing anything wrong here, I know earlier you said that, what is our allotment, what is the percentage of the budget that we can use for social services? So what is the total right now for all the social services? If we add it all,
There's a point of order. There is a motion and a second on the floor. We are to vote on this motion. Then we can refer back. If you have questions or concerns about social services, you can go back there. There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion in relevance to this particular motion?
Mr. Chairman, please.
No, Bob. There's a point of order. Any other discussion related to this ordinance?
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Kowinski.
If we're reducing Adopt-A-Lot by 20,000, if I'm correct,
Yes.
why are we doing that?
You have to ask, well, for instance, I can answer the question somewhat.
Where's it going?
Well, for one, it could be a number of reasons why you could reduce it. For one, Adopt-A-Lot, there may not be the necessary resources needed for $50,000. So why give them $50,000 for Adopt-A-Lot? I don't see a reason why we should give Adopt-A-Lot $50,000. You know, in fact, I'm kind of upset because the fact that I've cut lots and had to pay people over the summertime to clean up lots in my district. You know, and take my own lawnmower and go cut because the grass is growing so high.
Mr. Chairman,
But anyway, that's another discussion at another time. But the thing is, the reasoning for, you have a reason. Would you like to disclose your reasoning for that, Councilwoman Poland?
I'm not too sure I'm too crazy about the program, and I do feel that was a little steep for it. personally.
Okay.
Mr. President.
Councilman, wait a minute, let me go back to Councilman Quincy because he may have some more to add to his question.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess what I was asking was that 20,000 then to go into social service?
No, again, I'm going to repeat this. Okay, I need everybody to work with me, Lord. Please, everybody just work with me. We can get this done. The money that has to come from, in order to fund a social agency, it has to come from another social agency. So I named a couple of them. Kamala at Home, We Care from the Heart. Owana, help me out.
Yeah, all the social service agencies and programs that I mentioned before. Those are all under social service.
It's like maybe 5 or 6 of them. Any of those social agencies we can take from because their budget has been reduced and you can only take from them. Sure, Adopt-A-Lot, we're reducing Adopt-A-Lot, but in reality, we can't use that $20,000 and revert it over to a social service. But the reality of it is you look at the budget and you look and see what's needed, what do you feel is needed throughout the city, and if we should fund it to that amount. We've had this book for how long? When did you give this to us?
Couple months.
Mr. President,
Councilman Hinojosa.
if I'm correct, I believe taking 20,000 from the 50,000 from Adopt-A-Lot, we can't do that because it's housing, a neighborhood. It has to be from the column from social services. Here's what I'm going to recommend. It looks like looked like there's a majority to give $20,000 to the Indiana Legal Aid. So I'm gonna make a recommendation for you to look at, and then I'll make it as a motion. My recommendation is from social services only, for that 20,000, is 10,000 from the youth sports recreation program, 5,000 from We Care from the, We Care from the Heart Senior Services, 5,000 from the 35,000, and then the legal aid clinic and,
How much
parents-
you-
parents as teachers, 2,500, and 2,500, that's 20,000.
How much are you talking about taking away from the Hammond legal aid?
No, Hammond Legal Aid isn't getting anything right now, right?
I know, wait a minute, which legal aid?
2,500, you said.
2,500.
Take away.
20, which legal aid are you? The
Hammond Legal Aid,
right.
2,500.
That's what I.
Parents as teachers, 2,500. We
Parents
Care
and
from the
teachers.
Hearts, Senior Services, $5,000.
And the
youth
youth?
sports
10,000.
recreation, 10,000. That's a total of 20,000. And we can move on.
Okay. Is that in the form of a motion?
I'd like to put that in the form of a motion that we take $10,000 from Youth Sports Recreation Program, 5,000 from We Care from the Heart Senior Services, 2,500 from Parents as Teachers, and 2,500 from Hammond Legal Aid Clinic to go to the Indiana Legal Aid.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Hosa that we take $10,000 from the youth sports or the CBG budget, program year 2012, 5,000 from We Care from the Hearts, $2,500 from parents, teachers, and $2,500 from
Hammond Legal Aid Clinic.
Hammond Legal Aid. Thank you so much. I know we could get it done if everybody worked together here. Is there any other discussion as it relates to this particular motion?
Mr. Chairman,
And second. Councilman Markovich.
under the title of project, we should go ahead and state what that total dollar amount's gonna be. Under Hammond Legal Aid Clinic, it's gonna be $2,500. I'm sorry, that total's gonna be $27,500. Parents as teachers is gonna be $17,500. We Care from the Heart Senior Services is gonna be $30,000. And Youth Sports Recreation Program is gonna be $90,000. I so move.
I'm good with that, Mr. President.
Okay. Are you amending that? Well, the motion's been made in second, so you just want to clarify the numbers as it relates to these particular organizations and what they will be awarded for program 2012 as it relates to the CBG money.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay? Everybody clear on that? Now, I have a question, Awana, as it relates to the $20,000 that she was referring to, and then we didn't vote on it. Even if you took the $20,000, and I understand we can't use it for social services, but what do you feel is sufficient to run that program? And I mean, around, because this is a new program, and I'm not, I don't want to put you on the spot, and I know things could be tricky. I don't want you to be called in the office or put on the carpet for something, because you said something out of the order. It's because Councilman Higgs requested the information, and I am the president of the council. But it's only to make sure that the necessary funding is there in the year. What do you feel? I mean, it's a new program. Just give me a round.
Well, the reason we put the 50,000 in there, Councilman, is because the Adopt a Lot program, we have over 300 lots in our city that the Redevelopment Commission is in charge of. And as you stated earlier, there's a number of lots that we have to you give us funding to hire contractors to go out and cut those lots. Well, we need to really get away from that, and we have had organizations within the city who have come to us asking if they could take over that lot. Now, what we've done is we've estimated approximately how much it would cost to maybe fix it up, do benches or lighting or something, just to spruce up the area. And from that's how we came up with the $50,000. Because like I said, some of the lots, they're not buildable. Some of them, you know.
I mean,
and-
because, I mean, you talk about lots, I know a couple of lots that are like vacant and they look horrible, like one on Ames Street, 1000 block of Ames, and I got another one on the corner of Kenwood, where my aunt and my grandparents have owned that property since 1950.
If it's a nonprofit and they want to adopt the lot, then they're more than welcome to do it. However, if it's a homeowner on either side, they will be able to adopt the lot and then
They'll be responsible for
for
the
the
tax.
taxes, and they would then
But
go
if an
back on.
organization should take up that property, then it'll be tax exempt.
Right.
But they also will be responsible for
Maintaining.
maintaining that property. But how much money is gonna be allocated to that from the start? Are you gonna give a portion of that money and say, here, now, it's yours, take care of it?
Well, it's about $2,500 that we've, you know, looked at to fix up the lot, and then the organization.
So that money will be used
For the lot.
specifically to, fix up the lot for them to take over the lot.
Exactly.
So nothing will be given to that organization, say,
No.
hey, you know,
No.
go ahead and fix the lot up, or nothing like that. Okay. All right, that's good. Good point of information. See, if you don't ask questions, you would never know that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, Councilman Markovich.
there's 6 areas: housing, social services, redevelopment, economic development, planning and administration, and program totals. I know you mentioned in the caucus, what is the percentages out of the total budget is allowed for each one of these different groups?
Like I said, for social services, there's 20%. When it comes down to our CHODO, 15% goes to, automatically goes to our CHODO, which is at the top.
Chodo and Chodo operating is 15% each, or just 15% total for both of them?
15% for where it says CHODO, and then operating, we automatically give them $15,000 for operating costs.
No, I'm asking what percent?
The 15%.
Oh, okay.
And then when it comes down to redevelopment and the other CDBG programs, there is really no percentage there. Our general admin, there is 20% we can use for admin.
So you're saying that they use 20% for social services and 15% for Chodo, that's 35, so you're saying there's 65% left for those bottom 4 total,
Yes.
percent of the budget? Mr. President. Yeah, it looks like, myself, I wouldn't want to cut none of these programs. I think the way you set it up right now is great. But I think just so we can move on, so that the Indiana Legal Aid gets their 20,000, I think it'd make most of us happy up here. But as far as adopt a lot program, I mean, that's something that can probably get money from casino money later. But, well, even though the cuts ain't gonna be made from there anyways, right?
Right, but Councilman, you do understand, you can, at this point, you can zero that out if you choose to. You could say, you can make a motion and put it on the floor and say, hey, I want $0 to go to this particular adopted lot. And I don't know if you want to do that, because I think it's an excellent program. However, my personal view of it is that I don't think it's $50,000 is needed for it. But, you know, again, it's a first-year program. We try it out. I know there are a number of, especially in being Councilman Salinas' area, if anybody has more problems with keeping parks clean and abandoned lots, it's probably us over the whole city. But in reality, I think it's an excellent program. I'm delighted and happy, and hopefully people will take advantage of it, do what's necessary to improve the lots throughout the city, and we go from there. But I just don't feel $50,000 is needed, but I'm just one of 9. So however you guys want to handle it, it's fine with me. If you want to reduce it, fine. If you want to keep it there, that's fine with me as well. But we do have a motion second on the floor. Is there any other discussion as it relates to this particular ordinance?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
the only question I have, statement was made that they planned on taking these lots off the tax roll. I mean, that
would be the wrong thing to be doing at this point in time, is taking property off the tax rolls. I mean, they're saying they're gonna give it to, somebody to
Non-for-profit.
adopt it or not-for-profit.
But that's a twofold, Councilman, because what she said is that if you're interested and you are a homeowner, you're responsible for the taxes. On the other hand, if you're a not-for-profit organization with a 501c, you can apply and get one of these lots and maintain it, and it will be your responsibility, the upkeep.
Mr. Chairman,
Right.
we found out in the past,
No, I was gonna say, the redevelopment owns it, so we don't pay any taxes right now
They don't
at all.
pay any taxes now.
but if you're gonna give it to somebody else,
If it's a not-for-profit, it doesn't make a difference anyway, because they're not paying anything no way. If, say for instance, the lot next to my home, I want to make it into a park, and all my neighbors agree and say, oh, we want to make this into a lovely park. Okay. If I take it upon myself, I'm gonna be responsible for the taxes of that lot. And who knows what that's gonna be. Am I correct? Are we on the same
Yes.
page? He know. He been a councilman for 20 years. He's just trying to pull my leg, Awana. You see him over here? He knows all this. He taught me half of it, and then he's sitting up there trying to act like he don't know.
and you forgot the other half.
Okay. Councilman Markovich,
No, I went blank.
what is it? We were on adopted lots, but the motion is on.
Oh, I'm sorry, in the past, the only thing I'm afraid of is so people don't start using those lots as dumping ground, and here we've given it to another, agency to take care of it. Who's gonna be responsible to haul all the junk and tires and everything else that's gonna be thrown on them lots? That's the other thing, and you can't expect these other groups to be taking care of that. That's the only problem. And you know that that's a problem throughout the city, as it is. So, just point of caution or clarification.
Okay. Any other discussion as it relates to this ordinance? Any other discussion?
President Higgs,
Councilwoman Pollard.
how many cars are you leasing in redevelopment now? Would that go under general administration?
Yes, it is under general
Okay, and
admin.
how many vehicles do you have now?
I think we purchased those vehicles already.
Kind of off subject, but I'll allow you to go there. It's kind of like,
When's the
has
lease
nothing
up?
to do with this.
I think we purchased those already.
Council, if I could speak, Bill Talon, Director of Planning and Development. I believe the answer is 0. We have, all the cars that we have are owned by Redevelopment Commission. We're not leasing any cars.
The ones that you were leasing, you purchased?
They've been purchased, correct.
Okay, all right.
So how
Thank
many-
you.
How many vehicles?
Any
How
other
many vehicles,
discussion?
though, are there? How many vehicles?
I believe there's 4 altogether.
Who has them?
Myself, Awana, our Director of Economic Development, Beth Jacobson, and we have a maintenance van.
Okay, all right, so that was leased in, 2008, and the lease was up in
I don't have the years in front of me, I don't know.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question.
Councilman Markovich.
Are you allowed to use those cars for personal business and transport family members around and so forth?
You should not be, no. I mean, the cars are supposed to be for city use.
Okay, so God forbid that if somebody's transporting, they decide to take their kid to school that day and they get in an accident and we have a lot of problems there, are they covered if they've got a family member in there and they're not supposed to be having a family member in there or anything? What's the liability on that?
I can't say 100% that they can't have a family member in the vehicle. There could be a family member, for example, could be going with them to a work event or something along those lines. But as far as the insurance is concerned, I'm not sure. I mean, that would be a question for somebody else.
But the bottom line is they're not supposed to be using that vehicle for transporting family or families and so forth to other things. It's only for work.
They should not be using the vehicle for personal use. However, you could see a family member in a vehicle. For example, I just spoke at the Harrison Park Crime Watch this past week. My son went with me, so he went in my vehicle with me to the Harrison Park Crime Watch. So you can't say that there won't be a family member in the vehicle with you, but you should not be using the vehicle for personal use.
So like you have a vehicle for work. Do you have another vehicle that you drive around outside of work then?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we deal with the vehicles on another day and get through the budget?
What's this?
I mean, reality is reality. I mean, come on now. Let's deal with the budget. I mean, Is there any other questions? I don't want to be, we are all equal here. I want you to get your questions and concerns out, but we need to deal with, we got a lot of business tonight, and we need to get it done. And so I'm trying to get it done. It's 9 o'clock. We can be here all night if you guys want, but again, it's out of respect. So if you have any other questions, Markovich, Councilman Markovich?
We're paid by the hour like the lawyers.
At the legal aid clinic, right? Yeah. That's funny. You'll call me tonight with that one. Woo. All right. It's been motioned and seconded that we amend in those changes. Is there any other discussion? Or any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
No.
We're on,
Venecz.
hold up, Clerk Golec. We're on the amendment, my attorney, I must notify the attorney. The attorney, we are on the amendment of making the changes, the amendment.
But there were two separate motions, weren't there?
One motion, two amendments. This is the last amendment.
This is the amendment with the changes.
Both amendments?
No, we're doing one amendment.
Mr. Chairman?
Do the amendments in reverse order, Counselor. This amendment is the one making reductions to the youth programs, seniors, legal, and the parents as teachers. That's the last amendment made. The first amendment made was to reduce the adopt-a-lot by 30,000 from 50,000. Then the main motion.
Are you gonna rescind that?
I'd like to rescind that.
Okay. It's been rescinded that the adopt-a-lot motion. Is there, the second, can we get the second to that amendment? Will you rescind that? I think, Councilman, she made the motion.
Who seconded?
Who seconded, I think, Chico.
Councilman Markovich.
Markovich. Councilman Markovich, I need you to rescind that.
Rescind which one?
The one with the adopt-a-lots to take the $20,000 away.
I never made that motion.
Yes, you did.
You seconded it.
Oh, I'll take my second away.
Right. All right, now we're going to revert back to the original motion, which was the amendment of the changes. All right, you ready, Burgess?
Mr. Chairman?
Hold up. I got to make sure the Attorney Burgess is on the same page. You all right now? All right.
Point of clarification.
Point of clarification.
What we're doing is reducing every one of those items by either 5,000 or 17, or 2,500 or 5,000 or 10,000, correct? That's what this motion is.
That's
Is that
correct.
Okay.
And we identified those particular agencies that will be reduced, and you also gave me and the clerk the exact amounts that they will be awarded for the program year as well. So now, back to the motion.
Markovich.
Yes?
Spitali.
No.
Venecz.
No.
Kalwinski.
No.
Salinas.
No.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
No.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion fails. 5 noes, 4 yeses. Next, you can have a seat, the woman. Yeah, we're all done, sweetheart.
Mr. Chairman?
It is what it is. Councilman Markovich.
I'd like to make a motion that we subtract $10,000 from the Carmen Light Home and another $10,000 from the Youth Sports Recreation Program. I so move.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Markovich, second by Councilwoman Poland, that we take $10,000 from the Carmen Light Home and $10,000 from the Youth Recreation for CBG grant money for the 2012 program year. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Chairman?
Councilman Markovich.
If my colleagues did not agree with any of those changes, I'm just trying to see what they would agree to and where they would want to make some cuts so we can do the Indiana Legal Services. It was brought up in the caucus that with the Hammond Legal Services, with a $300,000 budget, and they service 300 people per year, that comes out to $1,000 per hour we're paying. Whereas with the Indiana Legal Services, it may come out to $35 or $40 with the $20,000 we're giving them, and they're going to be probably servicing more clients than the Hammond Legal Aid Clinic is.
So my colleagues that voted against it, then I would request where you would want to make those changes to the budget, so we can go ahead and take care of this. We are not being.
And not only that, we've done it in the past, and I think it's most reasonable to reduce some of the other organizations so that every social organization would like to get money, but unfortunately it's not able. But I mean, that was the only suggestion that was made. No one else has tried to make one, and then they vote no. I don't understand.
Well, that's,
It's
Mr.
crazy.
Chairman, that's what I'm trying to get at. I mean, if we're adding additional social service groups out there for people to attend and use, I mean, there's no problem with that. But if you look at this youth services, I mean, if you look at what they did, we all have kids that go to school, and if they want to play an extracurricular activity like basketball, you got to come up with $100 to buy tennis shoes and a uniform for them to participate. My understanding now, this money is being used to go ahead and buy uniforms and shoes, knee pads, boxing gloves, uniforms for these kids so they could participate.
And not
Now,
only that,
whether you think that's good or bad or whatever, but how about the normal person that has to go ahead and fund that out of their own program or out of their own pocket? I'm sorry. So you need to look at what this youth services is and what are they actually doing with the money. Is that what you want it for? For them to buy boxing gloves and tennis shoes? When you as a parent already have to provide that for your kids already.
not only that, to add on to that, Councilman, when I was growing up, my parents had to provide for me and pay for whatever I needed. If I was in a recreational program, hey, guess what? My parents put the money up forward. So it's, they're blessed to have the program, but, the burden shouldn't be on everybody to try to fund programs throughout the entire city. I mean, we want to help, but I mean, again, this organization is crying out for help, so I don't know. No one else made a suggestion, but I hear 5 no's and 4 yeses. It's going to be
Mr.
interesting.
President.
Councilwoman Venecz.
Rather than to sit here and discuss the merits of each of these programs, let's talk about the objective here. You're trying to reduce the budget of some of these programs in order to fund the Indiana Legal Aid Program, correct? Is that what we're trying to do here?
Yes.
Alrighty. So, it's my understanding that the Indiana Legal Aid Program is not exclusively for Hammond residents, and we have a legal aid clinic that is exclusively for Hammond residents. I personally, this is my opinion, would rather not fund an agency that would help those outside of the city of Hammond. Not that those people don't deserve the help, but if we are funding such a program, I would rather keep the money in Hammond. That's why my vote was no. My vote will be no, no matter how you finagle the money around. I am opposed to that.
I'll just speak in regards to that. I mean, the organization has been a vital resource in Hammond for a number of years. In fact, they were in existence prior to the one that was created by the mayor. And not only that, the resources that they provide are just as vital as any other organization.
Mr. President.
I'm not through speaking. And so in regards to this particular agency, it happened to be in my district at one particular time, the Philistine Health and Service Center, and then it was moved out. Now, the program year for last year, they were unable to get funding for some other reason or whatnot, but I was not present at the meeting. I happened to be sick at the particular time. And somehow or another, I guess it didn't get through or didn't get passed, and that's fine. But we've given legal aid, the Hammond legal aid, $270,000, I know, in 1 year. Do you think that's necessary? And that's in salaries alone. Now, this organization is only asking for $20,000. In fact, they were zeroed. And then a motion was made to give them some funding, and you're more willing to award another Hammond's legal aid $270,000, and this organization is only asking for $15,000 to $20,000. In fact, I think they would be happy with $5,000, just something to work with to provide a service. But the argument is, on the other hand, well, I don't know, however you finagle the money around or whatever, the reality of it is we've been funding legal aid for some time. For quite some time. And I don't know an attorney that comes out of law school makes the salaries that some of those individuals that make there. And it's not personal, it's business. And that's reality. So if we want to get in facts and figures, I've been here 8 years and I've observed the organizations. I know what the organizations do. I know the services that they provide, and you can't deny that.
Are you finished, Mr. President?
No, I'm not. And in fact, the $20,000 is not even enough to run. They won't even be there full time. Now let's see about the hours that are being provided with the legal aid on Holman Avenue, and are they there Monday through Friday, 8 to 4? Give me some numbers as to how many people you're servicing, and you can break them down: Hispanic, white, black, purple, blue, whatever. If we want to get into numbers. Now, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Believe me, I am not questioning the fine work that the Indiana Legal Aid Clinic does. They are very qualified. They certainly can help people. I am not questioning that at all. All I am saying is that if we already fund the legal aid clinic, the Hammond Legal Aid Clinic, that services Hammond residents, I personally don't feel comfortable, no matter what the dollar amount is, in funding a redundant agency that can handle or that will accommodate or service people who do not live in the city of Hammond. This is my opinion. We obviously disagree on that. We heard figures that Mr. Dabberton gave us of the cases that had been handled by the Legal Aid Clinic from its inception. They do a fine job. I don't want to see the redundant funding no matter what the dollar amount is. And that is in no way a criticism of the job that the Indiana Legal Aid Clinic does. Thank you.
So in reality, what you're saying is because they're currently being funded, this agency is not, shouldn't get any money? Well, we could look at a number of agencies that do because of this particular organization or agency, our services are being provided and are similar. Just because we have a similar organization doing similar work, they're not worthy of receiving any funding?
Mr. President, that is not what I said.
That's what you said. That's exactly what you said.
Mr. President, excuse me. I said that as long as the Hammond Legal Aid Clinic accommodates residents of the city of Hammond, and the Indiana Legal Aid Clinic, which it was set in caucus by law because they receive federal funding, that they must accommodate whoever walks in the door, I did not feel comfortable in giving them funding. Why would the city of Hammond want to contribute to a redundant agency that accommodates residents from other than the city of Hammond?
Well, what you fail to realize is prior to the administration coming on board and creating this agency that's now in existence, they were getting funds.
Oh, Mr. President, I realize that entirely.
Okay, so
I
what are you
realize
saying?
it,
So what are you saying? You want me to lay it out to you? Do you want me to spell it out for you?
Oh, no.
Oh.
I can read it perfectly clear, Mr. President. I am telling you why I am voting no. No matter
And that's fine. You
where-
have a matter of
No,
opinion, and I have one as well.
Mr. President, I was speaking. I am
Are you
just
done?
No, I am not.
Okay.
I am just explaining to you why I will vote no on this. No matter how the money is finagled, I am voting no. Thank you. I'm finished.
Thank you as well, and you can vote no. That's your matter of opinion, and you can do whatever you feel you need to do at that particular time.
Mr.
Is
Chair-
there any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
Councilwoman Venecz stated that federal money that Indiana Legal Services gets. We're giving federal money to the Hammond Legal Aid Clinic. This is federal money they're getting.
Mr. President?
You said that, that they didn't get it. Well, they're getting it.
Councilwoman Venecz, Councilman Markovich still has the mic. As soon as he gets
So,
done
this
speaking, I
whole-
will allow you to speak.
This whole budget is federal dollars. That's going to be going to them. So, but, and I can understand, and I know you're new to the council, and, we're just trying to present all the information here. And it's like I brought up earlier. We're spending $1,000 per unit, which comes out to an hour at the Hammond Legal Aid Clinic. When we fund the $20,000 for the Indiana Legal Clinic, let's just, to make it simple, it's $30 per hour. That's what it costs us, okay? And they service the same people, same amount of people, and so forth. Now, I know that Councilman Salinas, with Greater Hammond Community Services, this Indiana Legal Services is based out of the Greater Hammond building. We have food drives at our church and so forth and all of that. We bring food to the Greater Hammond Community Services. All those people that come there don't live in Hammond. They're coming from all over to get food, especially at Thanksgiving. We gave away 15 bags we gave away 6 bags to 15 families from our church, St. John the Baptist. Some of them didn't even belong to our parish. Some didn't even live in Hammond. Some came from Illinois. But we did it because that was charity. We didn't put that parameter on there or anything like that. But I'm just trying to convince you because I know you're new, and I wouldn't want to be throwing away good money into bad. But at one point in time, back in 2004, we created the Hammond Legal Aid Clinic for 1 year or 2 years. And because it wasn't working out that good, we could not afford them in our budget because we had to cut back services on other departments. We disbanded that Hammond Legal Aid Clinic. They no longer exist for the city of Hammond. They just have the name Hammond Legal Aid Clinic. It's not even part of Hammond anymore. It's a private law group, basically, a 501c3. That's no different than us giving, Beckman, Kellyman Smith, or Sachs, or any other law firm $300,000 a year to perform legal services. That's basically what we're doing. We have no accountability. They don't tell us how they're spending the money. Mr. Higgs says you call there, there's no answer.
Councilman Higgs from the 3rd.
So I'm just trying to help you out so you can make a decision, not just based on, you're going to say no and that's it. I realize you're new. We have funded the Hammond Legal Aid. If you were going to go get a lawyer, would you go to get lawyers, let's just make it easy, from the University of Notre Dame, where our mayor is from, or would you go get a lawyer from Joe Blow Law Firm? But Joe Blow Law Firm, we're going to pay them over the last 7-8 years $2,100,000 to fund them for the last 8 years. That's what we paid the Hammond Legal Aid Clinic. Okay?
How much
At
was that total?
At $20,000 a year for the Indiana Legal Clinic.
What's the total? How
which
much
we
we
didn't
paid
even
them?
fund for the last 7 years, would only be $140,000. And you have lawyers throughout the state, and you have one lawyer that sits on that board, Ivan Bodenstein, who's a well-renowned Valparaiso professor that wins cases left and right against the cities. So what I'm saying is, for $20,000, we're getting the most expert lawyers around, but in reality, we're paying $300,000 for just a regular law firm with no other outside people to go to and get information from, or guidance, or expertise, or consultation from them. That's what's here. So if you want to go ahead and say that you don't want to duplicate services, that is a no-brainer. We get rid of the Hammond Legal Aid Services completely because they're going to get $270,000 from the mayor anyway, and for $20,000 we can go ahead and have the Indiana Legal Services and have a wealth of lawyers throughout the whole state. So, I mean, if you want to put it that way, like I said, that's a no-brainer. I'm not going to go ahead and build a house for $2,100,000 when I can build the same house, same quality for $140,000. That's what this is coming down to. Basically, if you want to keep using analogies, and for somebody from the planning department to say, well, they don't provide all the services, it was told. They're not going to go ahead and, provide criminal consultation to somebody or felony convictions. And if that's what's happening, because that's the 2 extra services they can do at the Hammond Legal Aid Services, we're giving away money to nowhere, which is wrong then. That's why they have, when they're in trouble, that's why they have public defenders. And even then, we're paying for that out of our pocket too with the public defenders.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski.
point of order, sir, that Robert's Rules of Order on page 384 says no member can speak more than twice on the same question. Therefore, I would ask you to just ask those who haven't met their quota if they had any more comments. Otherwise, let's proceed and call for the vote.
Point of order, well taken. Anyone else wishing to discuss this matter who has not already spoke more?
Mr. President,
Councilman O'Pinker.
I call for a vote.
Call for the vote. Let me find my sheet. This is on ordinance 10-46. 10-46. Any other discussion? Right? 1046, right? 1146, Lord Jesus. 1146. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman?
exactly what are we voting for right now?
We're voting for the 2012 budget program year for the CBG grant funding as is, with no changes.
Mr.
We
President,
already voted down the other
You
motion.
have an amendment by Councilman Markovich, seconded by Poland, to reduce the Carmelite by 10,000 and reduce the youth sports program by 10,000.
Oh, yeah, that motion, yeah, that's right, we did get, that was the motion in second. So, the motion is to reduce the Carmelite home, and for $10,000, and additional to that is to take additional $10,000 from the after-schools youth program. Am I saying it correctly? What is it called? Awana, what is it called? Youth Sports Recreation Program. There you go. All right, so that is the motion we are voting down. A yes would be for yes, we're gonna take
The amendment?
You would take it. A no would be, no, we're not. All right. Roll call vote.
Markovich.
yes.
Spitali.
No.
Venecz.
No.
Galwinski.
No.
Salinas.
No.
Poland.
Yes,
O'Pinker.
No.
Hinosa.
No.
Higgs.
No. Motion fails. 7 noes, 2 yeses. $11.46 as read. Any other unfamiliar? Yes. This is hi, Banner. Yeah. All right, thank you. Motion is read now. So back to the original motion would be 1146, okay? Is
As
there-
presented, Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Is there any discussion on the motion? And that motion was made by the original.
Councilman Salinas, seconded by Councilman O'Pinker.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Roll call vote on 1146.
Markovich. Spitali. Yes. Spitali.
Yes.
Venez.
Yes.
Galwinski.
Yes.
Salinas,
Yes.
Poland,
Yes.
Opinker,
Yes.
Enosa,
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passes, 8 in favor and 1 is absent. There you have it.
Ordinance number 11-47, sponsored by Councilman Lewinsky. An ordinance authorizing the city controller to transfer funds from one line item to another within various city 2011 budgets.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski.
I move for final passage of 1147.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Kowinski, second by Councilman Opinka, that we pass 11-47 on this third and final reading. Is there any discussion? Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski.
as the clerk said, this is a cleanup ordinance at the end of the year to appropriate dollars to funds that require a little more to get them through the end of the year. Thank you.
Is there any discussion, other discussion? Mr. Controller, can you step up to the podium? I have a question. When you say in terms of cleaning up, how are you cleaning up with this ordinance?
Mr. President, just to clarify, this isn't an additional appropriation. This is taking currently appropriated funds that have already been approved by the council, moving them from one line item in the budget to another. This is exactly the same ordinance that the council passed for itself at their last meeting, where the council took monies that they had budgeted at the beginning of the year, bless you, and moved them from one line item in their budget to another to cover expenses without the necessity of an additional appropriation. The ordinance that's before you now is basically the same thing that covers the entire civil city and not just one department.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on 11-47? Any other discussion? Roll call vote on 11-47.
Markovich,
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Venecz,
Yes.
Kalwinski,
Yes.
Salinas,
Yes.
Poland,
Yes.
Opinker,
Yes.
Enosa,
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passes, 9 in favor, 0 are absent.
Ordinance 11-48, sponsored by Councilman Salinas. An ordinance to amend Ordinance 9112, the 2011 salary ordinance, to bring salaries of probation officers into compliance with the 2011 minimum salary schedule for probation officers.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Councilman Salinas.
I move for final passage of 11-48. Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Salinas, second by Councilman Opinka, that we move 11-48 on this third and final reading. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call vote on 11-48.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Venecz.
Yes.
Kalwinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passes, 9 in favor, 0 are absent.
8. I think that's the last one, right? President Higgs, that concludes the ordinances for final passage and adoption.
Thank you, Clerk Golec. Moving right along, moving right along. Number 9 is introduction of ordinances.
Ordinance 11-49, sponsored by Councilman Opinker. An ordinance amending ordinances 9107, 8880, 8942, 8091, 9016, and 9072, extending the voluntary retirement program for 2011 for certain eligible employees of the city of Hammond.
Mr. President,
Councilman Opinker.
I'd like to have first and second reading on this ordinance 1149, put it in council as a whole.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Opinker, second by Councilman Kowinski, that we move 11-49 on first and second reading by title, referred to as council as a whole. Is there any discussion as it relates to 11-49?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
I know there's a discussion about our next council meeting, what time it's going to be, and then we're going to have committee meetings. We can't be having committee meetings like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon if nobody can make it. So I'm just questioning,
We're gonna start them approximately, hopefully around 4, Council.
well, people don't get out of work or get home till 5 or 5:30 or whatever.
Okay, the meeting is scheduled at 5. There will be no adjustment to the schedule of the meeting.
Chairman.
So if you wanna set the committee meetings at 4:30, or whatever, you wanna set them at 4:45, I don't have a problem with that, but the meeting is set at 5.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay?
I'm not the sponsor of the ordinance, and I'm not the one that put it to the council as a whole. But that's the problem we're having here. We may have to go ahead and change the time of the meeting.
Is there any other discussion on 11-49? First and second reading by title, referred to as council as a whole. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes.
Item B, ordinance 11-50, sponsored by Councilman Kalwinski. An ordinance amending ordinance 8548, otherwise known as section 30.07 of the Hammond Municipal Code as it pertains to public broadcast of council meetings.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski.
I move that 11-50 pass through first and second reading and be referred to council as a whole.
Second.
Been motion by Councilman Kowinski, second by Councilman Spitali, or was that Opinker?
Tally was first.
Second by Councilman Spitali, that we refer 11-50, first and second reading by title, and refer to as council as a whole. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
just a question.
Yes.
It says, a code, municipal code that pertains to public broadcast of council meetings. So how would cellular phones and pagers be even included in an ordinance for the public broadcast of council meetings? That's just a question I'm having here, looking at the title.
Councilman Kowinski, you want to answer that?
It's a technology ordinance.
It's a technology ordinance.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman
I think
Markovich.
someplace in this ordinance or then in our ordinance, but somebody needs to go ahead and make up what the definition of technology is then. Because the way the ordinance is stated, the broadcast of council meetings, you don't use pagers and cell phones to broadcast council meetings, that's all I'm saying. And technology does not buy it, and if that's what they're gonna use the rules under is technology, then they need a definition of technology.
You want me to read this? Thank you. All right, we're gonna put this in committee. You want me to read it now?
It's in committee, sir.
Yeah, but he may want to.
Chairman.
I understand. It's not into committee until I final vote. Right now, we're under discussion. Would you like for me to read this, or would you, or what's the deal here with this particular ordinance? Are you, you want to wait to committee meeting and discuss it with Councilman Kowinski? Or what do you want to do?
Chairman, you're the president, you can do what you want, but,
Only after this year, you can have it. Hey, give me a break.
I don't see anything
To
wrong.
December 31st.
Mr. Chairman, I don't see anything wrong with our existing ordinance that we have now.
Huh?
I don't know anything wrong with our existing ordinance that we have now. You're not allowed to use cell phones and pagers in a...
Well, Councilman, you do know you can discuss this either with your colleague or in committee. Right now, we're just putting it in council as a whole. So, I mean, if you want to go in depth with this, you want it read in its entirety, or what do you want to do?
Read it in its entirety then, Mr. President.
Okay, Clerk Golec, can you please read this in your...
Why don't you have the sponsor read it? Save Mr. Golec's voice.
Whereas section 30.07 of the Hammond Municipal Code prohibits the use of cellular phones, pagers, or other electronic devices in council chambers. And whereas currently the Hammond Council meetings are broadcast both live and taped on www.gohammond.tv, and in order to accomplish this broadcast, electronic devices, including computers, are required. And whereas the councilman for the first district believes in open and accessible government, and section 30.07 runs contrary to that belief, in that strict enforcement of that section would prevent both live and tape broadcast of the Hammond Common Council meetings. And now, therefore, be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Hammond, Ordinance 8548, otherwise known as Section 30.07 of the Hammond Municipal Code, be amended as follows. Section 30.07, restrictions of cellular phones during council meetings. Any person who is present in the Hammond Common Council chambers while the Common Council is conducting a meeting must have any and all cellular phones, pages, or electronic devices on vibrate or silent mode. Any person wishing to receive or make a phone call shall leave the council chambers in order to do so. Be it further ordained by the Common Council that this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage by the Common Council, signing by the President thereof, and approval by the Mayor.
Any other discussion as it relates to this ordinance?
Mr. President,
Councilman Hinojosa?
this is just my opinion, and I'm sure we can get a legal opinion from our merger. But I believe by passing this, it's going to be so that public access channel like Comcast won't be able to come over here and record and put it on television, which is the right thing to do. But I mean, if you want to go ahead and pass this so in the future this can never be taped by Comcast or something like that, go ahead and do it. But in my opinion, I think that's what it's for, is so that public access television won't tape this and put this on television.
Well, I hope that's not the motivation, because I want public access and I want my community to be aware of what's being said and what's going on and how people are voting, my colleagues are voting, in regards to particular issues that affect the entire city. So I hope that is not the purpose of this ordinance, but only Councilman Kowinski can probably answer that question in terms of, because he is the sponsor, and so I'm not too sure. All I get out of it is the cell phones are to be, electronic devices are to be on vibrating silent mode.
Mr. Chairman?
It doesn't say anything about Comcast to me, but.
Mr. Chairman?
Councilman Kowinski.
It's actually an ordinance to make taping legal. Because right now, as the ordinance reads, it's really not legal to be taping the
Council
meeting.
meeting.
So this ordinance will move to make taping and showing this legal.
Right.
But we'll have a committee meeting on this, and we can.
What's
do all
under
that at
discussion?
committee.
Attorney Berger, what is your opinion as it relates to this particular ordinance? Or did you draft this ordinance?
I did not draft the
You
order.
did not draft the ordinance. Okay, where did this ordinance come from?
Well,
City attorney? Okay. And okay, now we know where the ordinance came from. Now let's figure out what's the substance and what's the purpose of this particular ordinance.
Mr. President, if you read the original ordinance, it prohibits all electronic devices, which would include anybody's computer. When Mr. Janik used to attend council meetings, he used to bring a camera. That was an electronic device that would be prohibited. I bring my iPad with me in case I want to look up a section of the Hammond Municipal Code while we're in here. That would be prohibited. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say we want to tape these meetings and make them public, but nobody's allowed to have an electronic device in order to do so. It was an antiquated ordinance probably before anything such as this was ever contemplated. Obviously, nobody wants a phone going off, and that will still remain prohibited because it's annoying and distracting. However, there are many silent electronic devices, which I can even record on my iPad. If I wanted to record a section of the council meeting, I can record that as well. So that's all. It's not to stop Comcast. If Comcast wants to come in here and set up a tape right next to Jake, they're welcome to.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
you can't stop them from taping anyway. You know that.
It says electronic devices, so we can't say
Well,
some electronic devices okay
Well,
and some
I
aren't.
know, but then we need a definition of electronic devices, because in Munster,
Well, we don't need it anymore. It's been removed.
person came in and had a video camera and wanted to videotape the council meetings, and they stopped them. And you know it, you can't do that.
Correct, and that's why electronic devices was removed from the ordinance. It just says if you have a cell phone.
Well, we
or
don't need cell phones and pagers here either.
If they're on vibrate, they're no more harmful.
We don't need them in here, because you can't use them in here. You can't take a cell phone or a pager into a court of law, can you?
I can.
You, maybe because you're a lawyer.
Right.
But yet, when I went to the courthouse, federal courthouse, just for a function, their social function, you could not even bring in a cell phone. You had to check it in, and they only had 25 cards to go ahead and check your thing like you would check a gun in.
I've been in the
And
federal
after the
court.
25 things, they told you to go take your cell phone to the car and put it back in there.
Well, as long as you keep it off, you're allowed to take it because many attorneys use their cell phones as their calendars, and they use them to communicate with their office for scheduling
Well, but
hearings.
it's still a distraction here in a council meeting or whatever. And all that.
Well, I didn't hear any go off tonight, but obviously, if anybody should have theirs go off, the
Well, we have an
council should have
ordinance
them
in
removed.
place that, you know, that the
Prevents
security
all
was not
electronic-
enforcing it anyway. So,
Right, and it also prevented all electronic devices. You're throwing the baby with the bathwater.
well, but you know what? I still think we don't need cell phones and pagers, electronic devices or cameras or whatever, because you can't stop people from videotaping.
You can in the way the ordinance is written. You can't interpret an ordinance contrary to its language.
I'm not going to dispute you on that, okay, if it needs to be changed, because like you say, this ordinance was passed in 2004, and times have changed. But what I'm saying is, nobody needs to have a cell phone or pager in here. It would be disrespectful to this council and to the other people here. We're here to conduct business. Now, if somebody wants to sit there with their cell phone or pager, or even iPad, and play Pac-Man on it, or whatever other electronic games, that's a disservice here. That's what I'm getting at.
Well, that's actually restricting the content rather than the device. That's a content-based restriction. If a person wanted to look up the Bill of Rights, you would find that permissible, but if they wanted to look up what's on the top 40, this would be impermissible. That's a content-based restriction. That would
You know
be a-
what they can do? If they want to go look it up, they can go out that door and go look it up and turn their cell phone back on and go look it up. They
Yeah.
don't need to stay in
Well,
here.
I mean, it's up to the council to make their vote, but I was asked to explain the ordinance, not to explain content-based restrictions. The term electronic device is antiquated. It's contrary to accessibility and public access, and this ordinance is written so as to encourage public access.
Well, nobody is disputing video cameras.
Well,
because
actually, you
know-
are, because you're saying electronic
you-
devices should remain in.
But you know by law, we can't do that.
Right, so why have an ordinance that has
You know.
language we know to be illegal? That's,
We have gun ordinances like that.
it's counterproductive. And actually, we don't have any gun ordinances, they are all void. That was declared by the legislature.
That was by the legislature, but we
Right,
didn't do that
the
here in
language
Hammond.
says, if you want, I can look it up on my iPad and read it to you. It's saying that any law in contrary is void.
Any law that's what?
Contrary to state statute, but that's a subject for another day.
So what about the weapons? Carrying the weapons in public buildings? Okay. Happy New Year. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, thank you, Lord Jesus. It's been motioned and second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? Motion passes.
Item C, ordinance 11-51, sponsored by Councilman Higgs. An ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Hammond concerning the final passage of an ordinance on the same day at the same meeting at which it is introduced.
Mr. President,
Councilman Hossa.
I move for first and second reading of 11-51
Second?
and to be placed in council as a whole.
It's been motioned by Councilman Hinojosa, second by Councilman Opinka, that we move 11-51 on first and second read by title and refer to as council as a whole. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Number D.
Ordinance 11-52, sponsored by Councilman Opinker. An ordinance amending Title 11, Chapter 124 of the Hammond Municipal Code to create 18 and over sections of retail establishments in the city of Hammond.
Mr. President, call for first and second reading, put this council as a whole.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Opinka, second by Councilman Salinas, that we refer 11-52 on first and second reading by title and refer to as council as a whole. Is there any discussion as it relates to this ordinance?
Mr. President,
Councilman Opinka.
basically what this ordinance states, you have your gas stations, convenience stores selling paraphernalia, pornographic materials in the eye of the public, young kids. What this does, it puts it out of sight from them. So when they're coming in to buy a soda or a bag of candy or something, they're not looking at this material. That's basically the logistics of the ordinance.
Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes.
Item E, ordinance 11-53, sponsored by Councilman Kalwinski. An ordinance designating 140th Street from Holman Avenue to Toll Avenue and Toll Avenue to 140th Street as resident-only parking.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski.
I move that 11-53 pass through first and second reading and be referred to council as a whole.
Second.
Been motion by Councilman Kowinski, second by Councilman Opinka, that we refer 11-53 on first and second reading by title and refer to as council as a whole. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Number F.
Ordinance 11-54, sponsored by Councilwoman Poland. An ordinance designating and formally creating a four-way stop at 176th and Harrison.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Poland.
I'd like ordinance 1154 to pass through first and second reading and refer to streets and alleys, please.
Second.
Been motion by Councilwoman Poland, second by Councilman Opinka, that we refer 11-54 on the first and second reading by title, refer to council as a whole and streets and alley committee. Is there any discussion on 11-54? 11-54, is there any other discussion on 11-54? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes.
President Higgs, that concludes the introduction of ordinances.
Thank you so much, Clerk Golec. Moving right along, number 10 is resolutions.
Item A, resolution number 11R14, sponsored by Councilman Opinker. A resolution authorizing the Hammond Fire Department to apply for the 2011 Department of Homeland Security Assistance to Firefighters Grant.
Mr. President,
Councilman Opinker.
I call for final passage on 11R-14.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Opinker, second by Councilman Spitali. We pass 11R14. Is there any discussion on 11R14?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
could you tell us what this is and let the listening audience, since we're trying to be so transparent here tonight? I understand there's 11 people watching the council meetings on the internet, checking with our IT director over here. Whereas before, now that Councilman Kowinski feels we should have open dialogue and transparency and allow all kinds of devices for people to take pictures, and we can videotape, that maybe we'll get Comcast cable back on TV, and then over 100 people can be watching it, as well as all the people at the fire stations that miss watching these meetings on Monday nights, the second and fourth Monday of the month. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Councilman Opinker.
basically what this resolution states, we're applying for a government grant for a new fire hose, which runs about $90,000, which the grant will cover about 80% of that. We will have to come up with the additional $18,000 matching funds, which would come out of the share of ambulance receipts that we receive.
Thank you, Councilman Opinker. Is there any other discussion as it relates to Resolution 11R14. 11R14. Roll call vote on 11R14.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Venecz.
Yes.
Kowinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passes. 9 in favor, 0 are absent. Number B.
Item B, ordinance 11R-15, sponsored by Councilman Kowinski. A resolution to reappoint Miriam Soto Presley to the Hammond Redevelopment Commission.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kowinski.
move for final passage of 11R-15.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Kowinski, second by Councilman Spitali. Did you second that, or Councilman? You seconded it, right? That we move 11R-15. Is there any discussion on resolution 11R-15?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Kowinski.
Ms. Soto Presley served on redevelopment the past year and attended the meetings regularly, stayed for the meetings, and when I asked Jimmy Lambert about whether or not she thought that was a good addition and would she like to see her come back, she said she would. As president of redevelopment, I respect her opinion, and I'm looking to reappoint this woman.
Is there any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilwoman Venecz.
Yes, I do attend the redevelopment meetings on a fairly regular basis, and I can tell you that Miriam Soto Presley is always in attendance, always on time, always contributes to the conversation, and asks plenty of questions. So I'm in agreement. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? Roll call vote on 11R-15.
Markovich.
Yes.
Spitali.
Yes.
Venecz.
Yes.
Kowinski.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Poland.
Yes.
Opinker.
Yes.
Enosa.
Yes.
Higgs.
Yes, motion passes. 9 in favor, 0 absent.
President Higgs, that concludes the reading of the resolutions.
Number 11, new and unfinished business, I received a letter from Tanglewood Apartments, and I just wanted a point of record. It says, Honorable Anthony Higgs, City Council President, Hammond, and as you know, the Tanglewood Apartments has been a part of the Hammond community for many years. We have been owned and managed by the same partnership for over 22 years, and a number of our employees are local and have lived in Hammond all their lives. We use local vendors whenever possible and open our clubhouse doors as a polling place for Hammond voters. With this said, last year the Hammond City Council enacted a rental property registration ordinance. This ordinance raised the rental registration fee from $10 to $80 per unit. We respectfully ask for a cap of 200 units at $16,000. In closing, we urge you and the other honorable council members to wage this proposal. Respectfully, Covered Bridge Limited Partnership, Tanglewood Apartment owners, Tanglewood staff.
So moved.
Another communication I received, it says Hammond Human Relations Commission, 5925 Calumet Avenue, Hammond, Indiana, 46320. The Hammond Human Relations Commission, in conjunction with the Office of Community Development, would like to invite you to attend an information outreach seminar on landlord and tenant rights. Please be aware that this training is in an effort to ensure that everyone is aware of all their rights and procedures according to the law and ordinances set forth. The training is scheduled for December 15, 2011 at 6 p.m. at the Philia Steen Health and Service Center located at 5927 Columbia Avenue, Hammond, Indiana. Please feel free to contact our office, Human Relations, at 219-853-6502 if you have any questions or concerns. Sincerely, Lolita A. Weems, Executive Director of the Hammond Human Relations Commission. Any other communications? Any other communications? New and unfinished business. I'd like a letter sent to the engineering department on the 900 block of Fields of Road. Pole number 90/952 is out of commission and needs to be repaired. I so move.
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Higgs, second by Councilman Nahosa, that we send a letter to the engineering department as it relates to the 900 block of Road and Fields for the NIPSCO pole light. Any other discussion on that particular letter being sent? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. New and unfinished business, new and unfinished business, new and unfinished business. Merry Christmas and ha. The Christmas holiday parade was a huge success. I enjoyed it. Again, giving the kids candy. Got a chance to see Councilman O'Pinker out there as well as the mayor and who else we got? Councilwoman Venecz, Councilman Spitali. That's about it. I ain't seen no one else. So it was real nice. It wasn't cold this year, so that was a plus. Any other new and unfinished business? New and unfinished business? New and unfinished business?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Markovich.
have we already scheduled a meeting for the 19th of December?
The meeting has already been scheduled for the 19th, and correspondence have been placed in your mail for you to receive, and you should have already received them, and we look forward to seeing you on next Monday. New and unfinished business. New and unfinished business is
President,
Councilwoman Holden.
just a note of warning in the 4th District. I've had several calls on a lot of coyotes in the area, and we're seeing an abundance of them. And please be careful when you let your small dog out. One of them became pretty aggressive the other day and was out during the day and actually circling a woman's house on Lyman. And she has 5 French bulldogs. They were getting a little aggressive. I did call Chief Miller on this, and we do have a lot of them. There's really nothing that you can do. Possibly a loud noise might scare them away, but just be very careful. It's kind of strange in the 4th District. We have like a little foresty area, and I'm seeing everything lately. Fox, everything.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that, because they will eat your dog.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will.
Eat your dog. Do you hear me? Eat the dog. That's terrible. Did receive the little proclamation, and I will let Clerk Golec. Can you read this proclamation for me, Clerk Golec, so nicely?
Done.
Thank you so much.
This is a Achievement in Leadership proclamation. Whereas, in an effort to advance the National League of Cities' mission to create stronger communities, the Leadership Training Institute was established to provide local officials with the necessary training and skills needed to facilitate positive change and innovation within their communities. Whereas, in an effort to recognize excellence and innovation and leadership of local elected officials, the National League of Cities Leadership Training Institute developed the Certificate of Achievement in Leadership program. Whereas Council Member Anthony Higgs, a participant in the Certificate of Achievement in Leadership program, has demonstrated excellence and innovation in leadership as a local city official. Whereas Council Member Anthony Higgs has continued a path of personal leadership development and has demonstrated a proficiency in leadership theory, along with technical skills and knowledge, effective interpersonal abilities, and the development of partnerships. Therefore, be it known that the National League's Training Council does hereby proclaim Anthony Higgs a recipient of the Silver Certificate Leadership Executive Level in the Certificate of Achievement in Leadership program. Signed this 10th day of November 2011 Tony Thomas, Chair of the Leadership Training Council. Congratulations, Mr. President.
Thank you so much, Clerk Golec. Thank you so much. I do my best. That's all I can say. Just do your best. Any other new and unfinished business? New and unfinished business is now closed. First speaker of the evening is Kathy Hall. Kathy Hall.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Hall. I was going to say a lot, but this meeting was long. Can y'all try to shorten the meetings, Markovich?
Paid by the
Be
hour.
real short with your answers,
Like
so,
attorney.
because you know other people have to
Paid
get
by
up
the
for
hour.
work. And I would like to wish all of you a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Kim Poland, even though you was a Republican, you was good at your job. And to me, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you should all come together to do the best for your city. And Kim, you did a great job.
Yes, she was.
And I applaud you. Thank you.
Next speaker is Reverend Santiago Gomez.
Good evening, President and Council. Santiago, Reverend Santiago Gomez. And I just want to take the time to thank each and every one of you for everything that you've done in my behalf and our church's behalf. On behalf of my wife and myself, I also want to wish the council and whole that a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And the Word of God requires us to pray for each and every one of you. And this is what New Life Worship Center Church of Hammond does. So we just ask God's blessings upon your lives and your family's lives, and that God's blessing be upon upon each and every one of you. What's left of this year and the coming year. God bless you, and Merry Christmas.
God bless you.
God bless you, Reverend Gomez.
Last speaker is George.
Make a motion.
I was looking forward to hearing from you, and I ain't heard it.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
It's been motioned by Councilman Hosa, second by Councilman Opeka, that we adjourn from this meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays?
Bless you.
Motion passes. Ooh.